Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira vanachari. Yamunatira vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajak Acharya Stotara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Sarva Shastra Abdipiyusha Sarvavedaika Satvala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Khalidvando Ditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Pathaya Prema Varshyak Sharayate Sarvada Sarvasivaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume Madeka Bandho Mad Sangin Mad Guru Mad Mahadana Manistaraka Mad Bhagya Madananda Namostute Asadu Sadhu Tadai Natinicho Chatakara Hanamuncha Kadachin Mam Premna Hrit Kantayospura Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12. Chapter is entitled The Birth of Emperor Parīkṣit, and shloka number 19. Brāhmaṇā ūcuḥ pārtha prajāvitā sākṣād ikṣvākur iva mānavaḥ brahmaṇyaḥ satya-sandhaś rāmo dāśarathir yathā brāhmaṇā ūcuḥ pārtha prajāvitā sākṣād ikṣvākur iva mānavaḥ brahmaṇyaḥ satya-sandhaś rāmo dāśarathir yathā. Please chant. Brāhmaṇā ūcuḥ pārtha prajāvitā sākṣād ikṣvākur iva mānavaḥ brahmaṇyaḥ satya-sandhaś rāmo dāśarathir yathā. Brāhmaṇā ūcuḥ pārtha prajāvitā sākṣād ikṣvākur iva mānavaḥ brahmaṇyaḥ satya-sandhaś Rāmo Daśarathir yathā brahmaṇā ūcuḥ pārtha prajāvitā sākṣād ikṣvākur mānavaḥ brahmaṇyaḥ satya-sandhaś Rāmo dāśarathir yathā. Ladies. Brāhmaṇā ūcuḥ pārtha prajāvitā sākṣād ikṣvākur mānavaḥ brahmaṇyaḥ satya-sandhaś Rāmo dāśarathir yathā. Brāhmaṇā ūcuḥ pārtha prajāvitā sākṣād ikṣvākur mānavaḥ brahmaṇyaḥ satya-sandhaś Rāmo dāśarathir yathā. Brāhmaṇā ūcuḥ pārtha prajāvitā sākṣād ikṣvākur mānavaḥ brahmaṇyaḥ satya-sandhaś Rāmo dāśarathir yathā. Thank you. Brahmaṇāḥ, the good brahmanas. Ūcuḥ said, Partha, O son of Pṛthā, Kunti, Prajā, those who are born, Avitā, maintainer, sākṣād, directly, Ikṣvāku eva, exactly like King Ikṣvāku, mānavaḥ, son of Manu, brahmaṇyaḥ, followers and respectful to the brahmanas, satya-sandhaś, truthful by promise, cha, also, Rāma, the personality of Godhead, Rāma, Daśarathir, the son of Mahārāja Daśaratha, yathā, like him. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The learned brahmanas said, O son of Pṛthā, this child shall be exactly like King Ikṣvāku, son of Manu, in maintaining all those who are born, and as far as following the brahminical principles, especially in being true to his promise, he shall be exactly like Rāma, the personality of Godhead, the son of Mahārāja Daśaratha. Purport. Prajā means the living being who has taken his birth in the material world. Actually, the living being has no birth and no death, but because of his separation from the service of the Lord, and due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is offered a suitable body to satisfy his material desires. In doing so, one becomes conditioned by the laws of material nature, and the material body is changed in terms of his own work. The living entity thus transmigrates from one body to another in 8,400,000 species of life. But due to his being the part and parcel of the Lord, he not only is maintained with all necessaries of life by the Lord, but also is protected by the Lord and his representatives, the saintly kings. These saintly kings give protection to all the prajās, or living beings, to live and to fulfill their terms of imprisonment. Mahārāja Parīkṣit was actually an ideal saintly king because while touring his kingdom he happened to see that a poor cow was about to be killed by the personified Kali, whom he at once took to task as a murderer. This means that even the animals were given protection by the saintly administrators, not from any sentimental point of view, but because those who have taken their birth in the material world have the right to live. All the saintly kings, beginning from the king of the sun globe down to the king of the earth, are so inclined by the influence of the Vedic literatures. The Vedic literatures are taught in higher planets also, as there is reference in the Bhagavad-gītā 4.1 about the teachings to the sun god, Vaivasvata, by the Lord. And such lessons are transferred by the civic succession, as it was done by the sun god to his son Manu, and from Manu to Mahārāja Ikṣvāku. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, and the Manu referred to herein as the seventh Manu, who is one of the prajāpatis, those who create progeny, and he is the son of the sun god. He is known as the Vaivasvata Manu. He had 10 sons, and Mahārāja Ikṣvāku is one of them. Mahārāja Ikṣvāku also learned bhakti-yoga as taught in the Bhagavad-gītā from his father, Manu, who got it from his father, the sun god. Later on, the teaching of the Bhagavad-gītā came down by disciplic succession from Mahārāja Ikṣvāku, but in course of time, the chain was broken by unscrupulous persons, and therefore it again had to be taught to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukṣetra. So all the Vedic literatures are current from the very beginning of creation of the material world, and thus the Vedic literatures are known as a Paurushaya, not made by men. The Vedic knowledge was spoken by the Lord and first heard by Brahma, the first created living being within the universe. Now the description of Mahārāja Ikṣvāku. Mahārāja Ikṣvāku, one of the sons of Vaivasvata Manu. He had 100 sons. He prohibited meat eating. His son Shashada became the next king after his death. Manu. The Manu mentioned in this verse as the father of Ikṣvāku is the seventh Manu of the name Vaivasvata Manu, the son of sun god Vaivasvata, to whom Lord Krishna instructed the teachings of Bhagavad-gītā prior to his teaching them to Arjuna. Mankind is the descendant of Manu. This Vaivasvata Manu had 10 sons named Ikṣvāku, Nabhaga, Drishta, Sharyati, Narishyanta, Nabhaga, Dishta, Karusha, Prishadra, and Vasuman. The Lord's incarnation, Matsya, the gigantic fish, was invented during the beginning of Vaivasvata Manu's reign. He learned the principles of Bhagavad-gītā from his father, Vaivasvata, the sun god, and he instructed the same to his son, Mahārāja Ikṣvāku. In the beginning of the Treta Yuga, the sun god instructed devotional service to Manu, and Manu in his turn instructed it to Ikṣvāku for the welfare of the whole human society. Lord Rāma. The Supreme Personality of Godhead incarnated himself as Sri Rāma, accepting the sonhood of his pure devotee, Mahārāja Daśaratha, the king of Ayodhya. Lord Rāma descended along with his plenary portions, and all of them appeared as his younger brothers. In the month of Chaitra, on the 9th day of the growing moon in the Treta Yuga, the Lord appeared as usual to establish the principles of religion and to annihilate the disturbing elements. When he was just a young boy, he helped the great sage Vishvamitra by killing Subbahu and striking Maricha, the she-demon, who was disturbing the sages and in their daily discharge of duties. The brahmanas and kshatriyas are meant to cooperate for the welfare of the mass of people. The brahmana sages endeavor to enlighten the people by perfect knowledge, and the kshatriyas are meant for their protection. Lord Ramachandra is the ideal king for maintaining and protecting the highest culture of humanity known as brahmaṇyaḥ dharma. The Lord is specifically the protector of the cows and the brahmanas, and hence he enhances the prosperity of the world. He rewarded the administrative demigods by effective weapons to conquer the demons through the agency of Vishwamitra. He was present in the bow sacrifice of King Janaka, and by breaking the invincible bow of Shiva, he married Sita Devi, the daughter of Mahārāja Janaka. After his marriage, he accepted exile in the forest for 14 years by the order of his father, Mahārāja Daśaratha. To help the administration of the demigods, he killed 14,000 demons, and by intrigues of the demons, his wife, Sita Devi, was kidnapped by Ravana. He made friendship with Sugriva, who was helped by the Lord to kill Vali, brother of Sugriva. By the help of Lord Rāma, Sugriva became the king of the Vanaras, a race of gorillas. The Lord built a floating bridge of stones on the Indian Ocean and reached Lanka, the kingdom of Ravana, who had kidnapped Sita. Later on, Ravana was killed by him, and Ravana's brother, Vibhishana, was installed on the throne of Lanka. Vibhishana was one of the brothers of Ravana, a demon, but the Lord Rāma made him immortal by his blessings. On the expiry of 14 years, after settling the affairs of Lanka, the Lord came back to his kingdom, Ayodhya, by Flower Plain. He instructed his brother Shatrughna to attack Lavanasura, who reigned at Mathura, and the demon was killed. He performed 10 Ashwamedha sacrifices and later on disappeared while taking a bath in the Sarayu river. The great epic Ramayana is the history of the Lord Rama's activities in the world, and the authoritative Ramayana was written by the great poet Valmiki. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-yoga Swamiti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the learned brahmanas, as it's translated here, they started their reply to the question of Mahārāja Yudhishthira, just a verse before. He inquired, after he got to know that this boy, he will be a great devotee, and of course he was happy with that, but he also asked, will become as a saintly king, as pious in his very name, and as famous, as glorified in his achievements as others who appeared in this great royal family. In other words, will he be a great king also? I'm sure you can be a great devotee but not be a great king. There are varnas, so not everybody can be a king. But will this particular Parīkṣit, will he be a saintly king? And brahmanas start to answer here. If we just quickly look at what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, he said that he paraphrased the question of the kings of Mahārāja Yudhishthira. Will he be as famous as the predecessor kings? And the Brahmana said he will possess he will enumerate so many examples of what kind of qualities Parīkṣit will possess. And he says he will possess one of the qualities, the quality by which these personalities became famous. And he'll possess like all of them, not just one. Right? And therefore, actually, he's implying he'll be a better king, not just equal. He'll be even better. So this is the implication here. And one interesting thing is how our revered Madhvacharya, how he commented on this verse. He picked on just the last line, or last two lines. He said that Rāma Daśarathir yathā adhika drishtantaha. He said this is a drishtanta means example, or in this here it's actually a comparison. He's compared to different different personalities, let's say. And he says that, but when he's compared to Rāma, that is exaggerated comparison. In short, why? Because he'll be like Rāma, but how can a jiva be like the Supreme Personality of Godhead? That is impossible. So, but still, an acharya in his line, I mean, he gives Madhvacharya gives a verse to substantiate what he says from the Brahma Purana, that there's three kinds of examples, three kinds of comparisons. You can compare something smaller to bigger, you can compare the same things, and you compare bigger to smaller. And he gives the examples of, in this shloka, you compare a spider to Vishnu. That's done also in the Bhagavatam. It says Vishnu is like a spider because he's maintaining his the whole universe like a spider maintains the net. Just the spider is in one point, but he's controlling everything by this mystic potency. We don't know exactly how they're able to do it, but they're doing it, and that the same way Vishnu is doing, maintaining this universe. And and then you compare Vishnu to Vishnu, that's same to same. And you compare Vishnu to Jiva, that's what it happens here. So, and that's, you can say there's three kind of examples or comparisons. So when you compare less to more, it's understated comparison. When we say same to same, it's samya, it's a matching comparison, and adhika, exaggerated comparison. And then they analyzed, because this is just a start, this is the first verse. So there'll be more comparisons. I compare Parīkṣit to many personalities, to Krishna also, to lion, so many comparisons. And you say that there's a bit of everything here. When he's compared to other kings, he's compared like same to same. And when he's compared to lion, he's compared to less. And he's compared even to, he says, Kartavirya Arjuna, that's in the next verse. And even to Yudhishthira himself, they say Parīkṣit is less than those big Mahārajas. So this is just some extra from Madhvacharya, most revered Acharya in our line, the founding Acharya. And the lesson here is, yes, Vishnu, Jiva can never become Vishnu. That is also taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu whenever he was addressed as as Narayan or Vishnu or Krishna. He was, no, Vishnu, this is not right. Because he was playing a role of a jiva, right? So, getting more in the mood of Srila Prabhupada, what he wrote here, what he's given here in this canto, is that we are reading here about great Mahārajas, great saintly Rajarshis, and reading about them, taking inspiration from their saintly leadership. Srila Prabhupada gives also instructions for the here and now. We can speak. I mean, we should. This is in the Bhagavatam about great Mahārāja Parīkṣit, Yudhishthir, and other great leaders, saintly leaders, and think, oh, it's a nice history, true history, but what to do now? This world is it's in a terrible mess, actually. It's we can see there's a crisis of values, and Krishna consciousness is needed greatly in this world. And Srila Prabhupada, he was so ambitious in transmitting Krishna consciousness around the world. He devised means to preach from every to every strata of society. You can say from down up, meaning that the mass of people should become Krishna conscious, and that's what ISKCON is doing, continuing the mission of Srila Prabhupada, preaching to everyone who can lend the ear to the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and also especially from the examples of Mahārāja Parīkṣit, Mahārāja Yudhishthira, we see what is the effect of a saintly leadership, saintly leaders, saintly kings. This is preaching from up down. Actually, it's much easier, right? It can reach so much more, so many more, and it's so much easier. So why don't we have a saintly king, right? If this was so easy, we would have it by now. But why don't we have a saintly king? Actually, Srila Prabhupada wasn't thinking that he created a movement which, will be a nice movement for religious people. But because of seeing the situation as a pure devotee, like he says here, Prajā means the living entity who has taken birth in the material world. Actually, the living entity has no birth, no death. So we are all on the wrong place, doing wrong things, and seeing all that naturally. A pure devotee has the compassion and wants to elevate everyone, because it's a waste of time as a human form of life. People are just living lives like cats and dogs, as Prabhupada said. And we can reach some people, and there are more and more. And the society, Krishna conscious, the members of Krishna conscious society, either like within ISKCON or outside, there are many devotees around the world, more and more, and that is nice. But we see that still the society at large is in a great turmoil. there's a need of something even stronger, strong leadership, saintly leadership, who can, by their influence, because if you have executive power, you can do really many things. We can see now how governments are strong. You might think, what a government can do. Government can do anything, Prabhupada said. I don't know what was the conversation with Prabhupada, and he said, what the government can do to us. I said, the government can do anything. It's strong. It's a strong institution. It's in every pores of society. And they can do, they're speaking very plainly, good things, and they can do bad things. So the influence is enormous. And so Srila Prabhupada was very ambitious. He wanted to preach to the leaders of society, and he did so. He was ready. He was ready to advise, to lead. For instance, he met was that Lal Bahadur Shastri was the Vice President of India. He wrote to the President. He wanted to meet with Indira Gandhi. He met with Indira Gandhi. And there's a list of things he wanted, just to have some idea what could be the influence of saintly leadership in society. This is noted in the Lilamrita of Srila Prabhupada by Satsvarup Das Goswami. So here it goes. In tiny, cramped handwriting, Srila Prabhupada had noted down in a small address book a list of points he wanted to discuss with Mrs. Gandhi. Okay, first point, grant immigration for 500 foreigners. That was a big thing at that time because it was very difficult for foreigners to have their visas in India. And Prabhupada said, the Indians are not joining, I have just foreigners. That was 75. So, I need men who can do this very important work, which Indians at that time, he said, didn't want to do. All MPs initiated brahmanas. MPs, member of parliament, Indian parliament. Sanjay the king. Sanjay was the son of Indira Gandhi. Obviously, he preferred a king to a queen, right? Close slaughterhouses. Slaughterhouses are just immense source of sufferings, of pap, of sin. And therefore sin means suffering. And this, what we see now is, we could say the mass slaughter produced this immense suffering in the world. 5, chanting. That's the solution. That's not much explained here, but chanting, yes, chanting. Chanting will cure the disease of ignorance in the hearts of everyone. And meat eaters at home, no public meat eating. 7, prostitution punishable. 8, no religious group except Bhagavad-gītā as it is. So this goes very much against the notion of secular government. Government should be secular, and everybody is entitled to do whatever they like. And we see from the examples of the great saintly kings, They didn't say you can do whatever you like. Everybody who has to do their prescribed duty. That was the protection that the kings gave. No, and when someone was obstructed, like Prabhupada says, the cow, he had to react. No, this is not allowed. It gives protection that everybody can do their duty. And more about kirtan. All government officers must join kirtan at least twice a day. Right? Even the holy name is so potent. Even if you have to do it, it is better than not doing it. Right? And 10. Support Krishna consciousness all over the world. With such, if all these points could come to fruition, just imagine what India looked like and the world also. What would be the influence? Prabhupada said that India is actually is coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Said that, you know, the duty of Indians is to para upakar. They should do the preaching, because preaching means caring for others. That's the highest welfare work. You know, people are very much they want to do welfare work, but they just don't know what is the highest welfare work. That's preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world. So that was the, you know, you can see Prabhupada was very ambitious. You know, you can stay and chant and, you know, read the Bhagavatam in your mat or your temple, but you know, we have to have a vision that in our minds the vision of Srila Prabhupada should stay alive. You know, we are not just another religious group. This is outwardly, yes, it's just another religious group. It's we have freedom to practice our religion. Fine, but actually this is the religion of everyone. That is the difference. This is a Sanatana Dharma, real Sanatana Dharma. Jaiva Dharma, also called by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is the Dharma of the soul. Everyone, even those who do not think like that. This whole world is full of members of Krishna consciousness. Actually, it's everyone. Just the point is that some have figured it out, they are, and some not yet. And that the world is actually searching for alternative. People are seeing that materialistic, consumeristic society is not going to work, and it's not working. It's not working. It has a bad effect. You know, blind following the blind. That's how Prahlād Mahārāja actually give in a nutshell his analysis of the material world. Nate vidu swartagatim hi Vishnum. They do not know. Who are they? That's us. They do not know that the goal of life is Vishnu, Krishna. How it goes on. Vidu swartagatim hi Vishnum bahirartamaninaha. What is that? How does it go? Durashaya ye bahirartamaninaha. So this durasha, this hope that the material life will bring happiness, satisfaction. That's durasha. It's a bad hope because it will not happen. It cannot happen. And person can live in an infatuation. Yes, it's going to happen. It's coming. It's coming. It's like a golden deer. You're chasing it, but you're never going to really get it. And andaya tande upaniyamana. So the blind leaders are leading the blind followers. Tepisha tantra murudam nibadhaha. So very bad situation. So while seeing, choosing Krishna consciousness is choosing the solution of life, permanent solution, and that's for us. That's fine, but keeping the vision that this whole world actually should become Krishna conscious, and that's the purpose of the world. It's a prison it's a rectification institute. The point is that understanding that yes, it doesn't work independently from Krishna. There's no hope for any good destination. So all right, so let's go back to Krishna. So the whole society should be supporting this big it'll be one big back to Godhead movement. So while you can say dreaming about when this will happen, when we'll have this big leaders, saintly leaders who will protect the dharma, Sanatan dharma, of the duty and constitutional duty of every living entity to serve Krishna. We have to work on ourselves, because just here's the solution. Here's in the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada wrote that. It's just in the beginning. This is a cultural presentation for re-spiritualization of the whole world. And we have purports here where Prabhupada delineates how governments should be led. And that's what Prabhupada meant. He said, my books will be the law books for the next 10,000 years. So how is going to be this a law book if there's not going to be any people who are taking this seriously, or not in a large proportion of society? Law book means something you have to follow. Yeah. So, of course, different kinds of law books. I mean, there's also recommendations, and that's what. It's not that you have to actually just the force doesn't work really, because Krishna consciousness is voluntary. But the point is that the government shouldn't encourage sinful activities. You cannot force anyone to love God. How you do that? That's a voluntary thing. But giving all opportunities that happens, that is the that is the duty of government. So, so working on ourselves is the key. The key, because we ourselves, the members of the society, should become purified by being in this moment, by following this process, and thereby showing a good example to other people who are watching for examples in this world. Srila Prabhupada actually gave everything. Just we have to keep this alive and develop it further. We should, Prabhupada said 50% of my mission is not accomplished, and he meant varnashrama. With that, to show a way, like a practical way of life for a common person, not a super saint or anything, but you know what to do when I am interested in Krishna consciousness, but I have to go through the grind of this material world because somehow or other we have to maintain our bodies, our families. So that's becomes a big problem. So, and it's of course, to be Krishna conscious is always possible. There's no bar, but you know, the government can be so bad and people oppressive and everything, but still, because Krishna consciousness is the matter of heart, is a matter of soul. You can always do it, you can always chant, but that is for pure devotees or those who are almost there. You know, whatever you do, you're going to be Krishna conscious. But we need to see that a mass of people can become Krishna conscious and remain Krishna conscious and advance to such a stage that yes, then we can never fall down at any whatever the circumstance. So that is the duty of the leaders to think how we'll show this example here. So varnashrama, this is something which it seems that we are going to be pushed into, because the world as we know it seems that it's crumbling down in front of our eyes. There's a big crisis going on, and it doesn't seem that it's just going to be finished just like that with a magic medicine or no, because what is the disease is the disease of the heart, and it's from down to up, and the most troubling is that up there, the people and those who lead a society, they're just one of actually not much better than those who are down, blind following the blind, or as Prabhupada says, there's some unqualified man elect other unqualified men, and that's what the democracy is. Prabhupada himself never voted. He didn't want. He said, I was dragged by my friends, but he resisted. He didn't see any point. Who to, why, who to what, where. When Prabhupada didn't want to go to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, at first he heard there's a great devotee, some great saint, and he was fed up with saints and no, I'm not going. But then a friend of him dragged him. Okay, he went, but they never succeeded to drag him to vote. He said, I never voted in my life. No, Prabhupada had a different vision. He advised to the leaders of society, and he left his instructions here in his Srimad Bhagavatam and other books, and all the potency is here. We just have to take that seriously, and miracles can happen. Prabhupada wrote this first canto, you can see, is a visionary. He was in Vrindavan in the, what it was, the 60s, beginning of 60s. And where was his worldwide mission? Nothing. But he had this firm faith that in the instruction of his spiritual master, and he saw the potential of this teachings of Krishna, as it is said here in the Purport, that the saintly kings, they do not rule just like out of sentiment. They're inspired by the Shastra, by scriptures. They know scriptures. And in the previous Purport, Prabhupada said all the leaders, they should learn from Srimad Bhagavatam how ideal the administration must be before they can be given charge of different posts, right? So he saw all that, and he did a miracle. So, and his blessings are still with us, and there's the blessings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we are not a small to medium religious movement. We are much more. We are supposed to lead the world, and because we have such a task in front of us, we should ourselves become ideal. We should have to show something to the world. Okay, this is what you get if you follow all this. Hare Krishna. So I'll end here. We should end by 9. I was instructed by Padmapad Prabhu, and I intend to follow that. So we have 1 or 2 minutes left. Are there any questions? Oh, here's the mic.
Thank you, Prajā, for a beautiful class. So my question was that as Srila Prabhupada did a miracle, because if somebody will think, or like 100 or 200 years before that, the whole world will be chanting the holy names of Krishna. So it came true because it was a prediction, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted it. So similarly, there's one ashram which Srila Prabhupada said that his mission is not completed, 50% is remaining. And as you mentioned that he was trying to approach to the leaders of the society so that they can change themselves, like they should be initiated, and that the things that Srila Prabhupada wanted. So is there any chance that this will happen, or is there any prediction in this golden age that India will surely lead the world by guiding to the administrative class, or that these administrative class or leaders can become really the devotees, like this Vedic city is coming of Mayapur. So this is all what is happening is a prediction that is going on. So similarly, there is a prediction of this manifestation also, or we are just need to just try, or like to make the leaders Krishna conscious.
So the question is it going to happen? How do we know? Is it worthwhile trying? What's the question? I mean,
Yeah, the question is that, is there any, like, other things are gradually manifesting.
Right.
So this Chaitanya Leela is still going on. So that this vision that we discussed in today's class is like some prediction, or it's like simply a try, or we want it, or it's our intense desire only. We are not sure of its manifestation.
Well, there's a general prediction of the golden age. Prabhupada spoke about 10,000 years when his books are going to be the law books. So, as I said before, law books for whom, if nobody is going to abide by the law books? So, obviously, that was Srila Prabhupada's vision. Now, how exactly this will happen, we don't have a clue actually, but it's going to happen. I mean, how? I mean, exactly what year and this? I don't think there's any prediction like this. But we can see from, this is Mahaprabhu's movement. Actually, Mahaprabhu started. He's the founder Acharya. And he didn't come just for, so that, for maybe 100 years after his departure, and then also Sri Chaitanya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur again started the revolution, and now it's manifesting and it will die out. I don't think that's not how it's going to happen. We see there's an intense desire of pure devotees, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, and with their agya, with their instructions, what to do. As we know, spiritual masters, they give with their instructions, they give mercy also, how to fulfill the instruction. Intelligence will be given by the Lord. Prabhupada always was counting on that, the intelligence. He said, I'm speaking with scientists, so many people in different professions who are professionals, and I can speak with them. Who is giving me intelligence? It's Krishna. He was not specifically, he was a chemist by education. He wasn't a mathematician but he would speak with all of them because Krishna gave him the intelligence. So we count on that, that purity of devotional service, and the rest should manifest by intelligence, and all such qualities will be supplied by the Lord. Thank you very much. We are over time, and thank you for your attention. And Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.